Today is February 6th, 2014, and for Plug Into God's 160 Days Bible Reading Plan, the theme was Genesis chapters 11 and 12. And in Genesis chapters 11 and 12, you see two stories. One is the Tower of Babel, followed by a miniature genealogy, which leads you into chapter 12, which has the story of Abram's calling. Abraham was called from a group of people who had just been separated by an impassable language barrier. It was divinely oriented. And so was Abraham's calling. He was called, Abram was his name at the time, and he was called to leave his family, leave his rich neighborhood. Ur of the Chaldees was a prosperous city, and to go to a barren land, or I should say an already occupied land in the wilderness, in the land of Canaan, that he didn't know about yet. He had never seen it before, and he was going to let God show him. He stepped out by faith, and we can see this clearly in Hebrews chapter 11. He sought a heavenly country above all, and by faith he was able to physically traverse the intangible, right? We can't see our heavenly blessing, but we, by faith, walk towards it. Well, Abram got a special experience of, in effect, walking physically towards his heavenly blessing. Now, the thing is, calling. I believe that God has called each one of us to do something for Him. And I believe that if we follow that calling, He will bless us. He will bless everyone who comes in contact with us because we are blessed by Him for doing His will. Now, this is all to say that I feel that God has put a specific calling on my heart, and it's one that at first wasn't a struggle. It was very easy. I was like Abraham. I just got up and I was like, okay, let's go. Let's do this. This is it. And then I had a wavering point, several, actually, 3 that I recall specifically, all that happened in the year 2013. And I thought to myself, what? Why? This was so easy. I know exactly what I'm going to do with my life after I finish high school. And my plan originally was get a certificate in journalism, go to Arise Institute, a Bible college in Oregon that has a 12-week program, previously 15 weeks, but now 12-week program called The Story. It takes you literally from Genesis to Revelation. You get to see the covenants, the promises, the Messiah, plus other things, health, relationships, personal evangelism, public evangelism. Now, it was so easy for me. I was like, yeah, I'm doing that my mom suggested to me. You know, if you want to be a mother someday, if you want to have your own home and your own family, you should understand principles of health. And so she suggested that I go to the Wildwood College of Health Evangelism, or to UG Pines. I chose Wildwood. Don't ask me why, but I chose Wildwood. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do, right? In fall, I'm going to go to Arise, and in spring, I'm going to go to Wildwood. And then this thing, I don't even know what, but I was just getting this feeling like you shouldn't go to Arise. And I couldn't discern if this was a spiritual decision, or it's all spiritual, if it was a divine appointment, or if it was the devil attacking me, trying to put doubts into me regarding my plan. I had no clue. But I decided I would trust in God. And so I prayed about it, and I decided strongly, I'm not going to Arise. And then a couple months later, I was told more firmly, you need to go to Arise. That's where you're gonna go. Now, I wasn't sure if this was like an Isaac thing, where, in chapter 22 of Genesis, Abraham is told, take now thy son, thine only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest, and go to the place where I'll show you, again, faith, and sacrifice him for a burnt offering. What? That totally went against everything that God had promised Abraham. God promised that through Isaac, all nations of the earth would be blessed. And now he was taking away Isaac. Really? But, in the end, God said, well, because I've seen how much you love me, how much faith you have in me, you don't have to slay your son. And he provided a ram instead. So now I am like, okay, well, I'm going to Arise, period. And I go to GYC Orlando 2014, beginning of the year, and I meet two people who went to GYC's Your Story program, or The Story. One who had just come back who had just attended the fall 2013 program, and another one who had attended the February to May one that year in Australia, and that was their first one in Australia. Now, I thought to myself, wow, fancy that I should meet two Arise people on a personal level, not just like hi bye, but I talked with them, who went to Arise Institute. Wow. But then one of the girls tells me about her experience at Arise, and I thought to myself, Lord, really? Still? Not because there's anything theologically wrong, but I was like, I am gonna feel so out of place. Like, I'm the girl who wears skirts and, like, dresses, and I'm just weird like that. And most of the other mission colleges, at least 50-50, have some sort of standard that requires women to wear skirts rather than pants. They don't, and that's cool. But I'm like, Lord, I'm going to feel so out of place. I don't want to feel out of place. But then I thought, wait, well, they're going to accept me still, right? And I feel like this is just God's way of telling me, you need to trust in me, not in you. You need to trust that I'm going to do what I need to do for you. And I feel that this is my calling. No idea where God's taking me next. But right now, this is my calling, and I'm following it. Will you follow your calling?